Hello and welcome to The Insider, a show designed to clue you into the biggest news, events and announcements inside the video games industry, discussing with you some things you may know, some things you may not, and glue hold it all together is a little bit of my own opinion. My name is Paul James, thank you very much for watching, and let's get for the episode. So there has been more change at PlayStation. Over the course of the last few months, we've spoken about some of the initiatives and ideas that have been changed, some of those really established and ingrained policies that they had that have been eroded and broken down over the course of the last few months, things like crossplay and even pricing models for PlayStation Now, etc, etc. And now there's some heads that are beginning to roll at PlayStation over the course of the last few months. None bigger than some of those that have been revealed in the last 24 hours. Shuhei Yoshida is stepping down from PlayStation's worldwide studios to work at PlayStation in another role, we'll talk more about that shortly, and has been succeeded by Guerilla Games Hermen Hulst. In this week's episode of The Insider, we're going to look at everything that is involved in that decision, what it means for PlayStation, what it means for us the gamers, what it means for Guerilla, what it means for everyone. And we're going to be in that next.
What the hell are you doing here?
You think I'd let you do this on your own?
Shu is out, Herman's in, but that is not the only change that we've seen in personnel lately. So of course things were brought up in a big way about a month and a half ago when Sean Layden stepped away from PlayStation. Really unceremoniously, there was no real announcement, there was just a tweet from the PlayStation account and all of a sudden he was gone. We've heard nothing from him, we've heard no one really address the matter at all. There's still a lot of confusion around that one. Then, a week ago, Gio Corsi, who was a big part of all things really positive about the PS4 and the Vita, has stepped aside as well. And Gio, for any of you not familiar, was one that really brought the whole Building the List campaign together, which is where we saw a lot of really classic PlayStation games, and a lot of things that were probably quite unlikely to ever see release on a PlayStation platform actually come to the platform, whether it was PlayStation or Vita or both. He is a big part of that. That was a really big decision for him and PlayStation to part ways. We again don't know why in that particular case either, but they're stepping aside. You add Shuhei into the mix, and despite the fact that he's still working within PlayStation, it's one of many changes that have occurred recently that are raising a lot of question marks for a lot of consumers and critics of PlayStation. And if you think a little bit about what's been going on over the course of the last few months and years, you'll notice that with PlayStation, the Japanese presence, and keep in mind, Sony and PlayStation are a Japanese company first and foremost. What you'll notice is that the Japanese presence is waning over the course of the last few years as more Americans and Europeans are starting to step in and take on these roles. Now that is mirrored by the prominence of those studios, Guerrilla, Naughty Dog, Sony Santa Monica, etc, etc. But it's mirroring that. But it is also meaning that the old faces that we've come to know and love, your likes of Shuhei for example, are now falling by the wayside in different ways. Even those who made the PS4 as big as what it is, and let's keep in mind it was recently revealed that it sold more than 102 million systems at this point. Even some of those big names are falling by the wayside as well. And that makes for a big change when you think, looking forward, 12 months from now when the PS5 is on our doorsteps. It means a lot for the future of this platform, and again, there's lots of questions raised, and we're not getting many answers yet, but hopefully we will soon. And in the next couple segments, we're going to talk about what some of this means going forward.
So I'm a man now. Like you?
No. We are not men. We are more than that. The responsibility is far greater.
So what does it all mean for PlayStation? Well, as Jim Ryan put it, they're centralizing. It's not a case of Americanization here. Which I guess there's some merit in. We understand that they are becoming a global company and PlayStation is the big money spinner for all things Sony these days, and their most success is coming out of specifically America, but Europe as well. The Japanese prominence is far smaller than what it was back in the day, and as such, you change and adapt. And there's merit to this. when we focus on Guerilla Games, who've now lost Hermen Hulst, and I'm sure he's going to still work in some capacity because Horizon is his baby in a lot of ways and he cares very deeply for it. But there's now some new faces that are the head of that studio, the public faces that we didn't really know much about or have anything to do with before. We've got 3 names: Angie Smets, Jean-Bart Van Beek, and Michael Vanderloo. Those 3 names, the joint studio heads now of Guerilla Games, aren't the faces that Hermen Hulst was. When you think of Guerilla, you think of Killzone, Horizon, and Hermen. And now he's not there. And these 3 new faces are going to need to step up and fill that void. 3 faces suggests that maybe things were a little bit rushed as well. They've got, okay, you guys quick, get together. Hermen's leaving. We need you to man the fort. So how that will kind of continue to play out remains to be seen. But I don't think you need to worry about how it's going to affect Horizon Zero Dawn 2. We did see some leaks and news and job appointments during the course of the week that suggest that game is going just fine. So don't worry about that one.
I'm on the beach, Sam. Our beach. The one where I was born. Come and find me.
So should we worry? No. This is just the next gen of PlayStation that's now taking off. Not only the next generation in terms of the console iteration with PlayStation 5, but the next generation of PlayStation representatives and faces. Again, keep in mind all these people, whether it's Sean Layden, Shuhei, and Jack Tretton, and all those that have come before, they've been at PlayStation for a long, long time, 20 plus years in a lot of these cases. They've had a lot of success, as is evidenced by the impressive sales of all PlayStation consoles. But there is this next generation that is ready to go. And what we're seeing from Hermen, what we're seeing from Jim Ryan, what we're seeing from these others who are stepping up to these roles is that next generation saying, we're ready to make that jump. And it's a big faith call. And what you hope is that it's a gradual transition rather than just a hard and fast, you're out, you're in, let's make this work. Because there's so many risks associated with that. But they're clearly picking people that they believe will be the ones to take the PlayStation into the future in a positive way. Now, Hermen is a fantastic person. And I'm sure he'll do a fantastic job. If you were asking me right now, with absolutely no knowledge of what goes on behind closed doors at PlayStation, and purely basing it on the outside perception, Hermen wouldn't be the one I'd pick. He's going to be great at the job, I have no doubt about it. But if I was to lobby for one person, it'd be Shannon Studstill from Sony Santa Monica. What she has done, and it's best evidenced by the documentary that was put together, the Making of Kratos one that they put together after the release of God of War in 2018, shows just how impressive she is at handling a studio, the many different facets and people and quirks of every individual within that studio, and I could very easily see her doing that over a larger range of PlayStation studios, all 14 of them. Regardless, Hermen is going to do a fantastic job. I think PlayStation is Worldwide Studios is in very good hands, and I look forward to seeing what ideas that he comes up with, what Shuhei can come up with now that he's working with smaller independent studios under the PlayStation name still, but what he's going to accomplish under that new title, it's really exciting, and I can't wait to see where things go from here. The PS5 is now only a year away. And so that concludes this week's episode of The Insider. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. All those buttons are down below, and hit that notification bell. That way you're alerted to every new video the moment it goes live on the channel. That includes Patched, The Insider, Player 2 Plays, Late Game Review, Gamer School, and a whole lot more. There's some awesome stuff there, so please be sure to go and check it out. Visit the website, player2.net.au, where you'll find reviews, previews, opinion pieces, news, features, the Player 2 Writer's Draft, links to our podcast series, Patched, the Player 2 Pixelcast, and Dev Diary. Give them all a 5-star review, help boost their exposure, get more people listening. There's some great podcasts, and they're well worthwhile tuning into, so give it a go. We're also on Patreon, patreon.com/player2au. Kick in a few bucks. At the lower tiers, you'll get early access to episodes, Also at the higher tiers, you'll get monthly episode exclusives. Finally, there's Twitter. You'll find me at Paul James Games, the website you'll find at Player2AU, and until next time, there have been some big changes at PlayStation this week, but I expect it to go very, very well. More updates in the future though, and until then, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.